Hello, Facebook. Everyone out there has been asking me, as someone who knows a lot about nutrition, has studied it for many, many years, what do I do? And I want to bring at least three very basic, simple things you can do very quickly that help raise your immune system. And I want to give you one nutritional, one physical, and one spiritual thing that you can do. Because as we do have a body, we do have some nutritional demands, and we do have a physical well-being that we do need to take care of, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And we do have a spiritual side that is so much more powerful than whatever we give credit to. God that is within us is much greater than that which is within the world. And so we'll talk more deeply about that in just a moment as well. But first, I want to give you the one nutritional thing that you can do. Nutrition, when a virus gets into the body, or a bacteria or a fungus or anything that invades, they typically go through nose mucous membranes and get into the digestive system. We talk about skin as, well, don't they come in through my skin? No, our skin is really 1/200th of the gut. And so our skin is acidic. I know it seems really weird that we would wash our hands all the time and try to get things off of our skin, when anything that touches our skin, because it's acidic, tends to die rather quickly. And so when we're healthy inside, we push out natural things that make our skin a bit more acidic, and we're not growing funguses and all kinds of things on our skin. Now, some people do. And so some of the things that I'm going to talk about right now are actually going to help that condition as well too. But if we can acidify the gut, we now detoxify better, and we actually kill pathogens or things that come into the body that shouldn't, maybe in our food, maybe as we're breathing anyway. And so how we acidify the gut is we do it with raw apple cider vinegar. Now, many people don't like taking it, so there's products that I'll use that still acidify the gut that are much easier to take than raw apple cider vinegar. So if you have one of those questions, please let me know. I'll get back to it. So just message me on Facebook. That would be wonderful. So raw apple cider vinegar, about a teaspoon, not huge amounts, but a teaspoon frequently throughout the day. You'll find that begins to slowly acidify the gut, can also help with acid reflux. If you have issues with it, though, please email me or message me, and we'll talk about those things. Some people will have some issues with it because their system may be so weak, but most of us are going to handle it quite well. You can put it in a little bit of water. It has a lot of potassium and trace minerals, which help to overall, over time, acidify the gut, as well as create alkaline ash minerals that actually alkalize our tissues or our cells, which they do need to be somewhat alkaline. If we're going to test the pH of our mouth, it should be very slightly alkaline. And so that's our body being able to maintain good environment so that these bacteria, viruses, and other things don't enter into their habitation, which is disease. So you have to get sick in order to let these things come in first. So as we keep the body healthy, we reject or keep our environment not willing to let those things come in. I love the old Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom episodes. Those of you that remember that, we're going to date ourselves here, but I remember watching them as a kid, and they'd always talk about the natural habitat. Well, the natural habitat of bacteria, viruses, funguses, amoebas, protozoa is unhealthy tissue. So if you're healthy, you don't tend to get sick because everybody else gets sick around you, but you don't, because your environment is not one to allow these things to come in. That's what we're trying to do, is to change that environment. Now, another magnificent way of changing that environment is chiropractic. So here we have a brain that travels down our spine and sends nerves out to every organ, every system, every blood vessel, every cell. If we have some misalignment in there, and now we shut down that communication pathway, we now don't do very well. And what's interesting is we have done studies since 1977 on taking blood from somebody, checking the white blood cell counts and antibody counts, getting them adjusted, 15 minutes later, checking their white blood cells and antibody response, and they're way elevated in only 15 minutes. So a very simple thing is, the moment you think you might be coming down with something, or one of your family members or children in your house, get them adjusted immediately. I remember adjusting my kids all the time in the middle of the night because they would not feel well. I rarely saw them under distress of any kind of sickness or illness. They just performed amazingly well. And so apple cider vinegar to acidify the gut, chiropractic adjustments, and now most of you that are Bible scholars, I would say those that have been around church long enough, you've probably heard the phrase that it says, fear not in the Bible how many times? I'm sure somebody out there said it. 365 times, one for every day of the year. So what happens when I'm afraid? How does my gut feel when you're afraid? We call it kind of butterflies. It kind of affects our core. And that then, it messes up the gut, which then makes us more alkaline. It does all these weird things, and we end up making ourselves sick. I don't know how many people have had somebody say, you don't look so well. And then all of a sudden they get sick. I know they've actually done studies where all these people in an office will gang up on somebody and just keep asking them. Different people say, are you okay? And by the end of the day, they don't feel well. And they go home because they're sick. They literally believe themselves into being sick. Bernie Siegel, I listened to him speak in 1995, and he talked about a gentleman who was 36 years old that was diagnosed with cancer. He was given 6 weeks to live. He died 6 weeks to the day. They did an autopsy, looked inside him. They didn't find any cancer anywhere. It was a misdiagnosis. And you might say, that's horrible. How did he die then? Because he believed it. Belief is a tremendous thing, and we don't give it a lot of what it's due. It's very powerful. So be very cautious where you put your belief. Are you putting it into a little virus that's going to do you harm? Or are you going to put it into the magnificent body that God gave you? It shouldn't even be a question. So 3 simple things you can do. If you have any questions, concerns, please give me a holler. If those of you that have watched this, it's Monday night. In 2 days, I'll be doing a heart disease talk on Wednesday, the 25th at 6:30 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. And we're going to talk about heart stuff. I'm going to answer a lot of questions and talk about how do we repair a heart? How do we get it better? How do we know if we even have a heart condition? We're gonna ask a lot of questions and answer a lot of questions. So please join me for that. It's going to be a great talk. Until then, if you have any health questions, shoot them my way. Listen to our podcast as well on Revealing Wholeness on iHeartRadio. All that would be wonderful. I've done a lot of talks on there on how to help immune stuff and everything and anything that you could imagine. And if I don't talk about it, send me an email and I'll be happy to discuss the topic. Until then, I'm Dr. Troy Munson, and I just want you to be well. And have a good evening.